Hi, and welcome back to C1 Risk Training. Today, we're going to be in the Enterprise module, and we're going to be looking at how you now build out your risk data for your assets once you've brought them into the system. So I'm going to go into the Enterprise module and select my assets. And first, we're going to show you an example. So I'm actually going to go to my asset type business units. And in here, we've got our executive office here in San Francisco. And you can see here that in our summary tab, we've got a dashboard for this asset for the executive offices that shows you that our residual risk currently sits at 94 because we have and that we have a total of 7 risks associated to this asset, that our impact is very high, and that our control strength, the number of internal controls that we have associated with this asset, is at 42, and that currently there are actually no active issues. So what does all of this mean? So here, what we're going to do is just take a look. So once we've got our asset added in the system, we've got our asset information here. We've already done our impact assessment on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And then the next step would be to add a risk register. And so as you can see, as I've actually built out my risk register, you are going to associate each of your risk register records with one or more assets. And so these are, as I built out my risk register here in my risk register section, I have all of these risks identified here. I actually associated them to specific assets. So let's just go back to that asset again here. So here they are associated to that specific asset. And then what happens is with each of these risk registers as well, we can also associate internal controls to those risks. So these are the controls that we've got in place to help prevent that risk. Okay. Go back to my asset again. Now you see, again, if I could go into these different risks, you see the risk register associated here. What would actually happen is, based upon what I have chosen here, any controls that are associated to this risk register will automatically be pulled over to the asset. Okay. So here you can see the risks that are associated. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit more detail in terms of if I unlink one of these risk registers. So I'm going to select governance for a second, and I'm just going to unlink that, say yes. Now, if I go back to the internal controls tab, you'll see that there are no controls anymore because all of those internal controls were related to that one risk register governance. Okay. Now I'm going to add that one back. So now I'm going to add that one back by doing a lookup. I'm going to take that specific governance risk back. So here you see that now my internal controls are back. And the last thing I wanted to show you, again, sorry to jump around a little bit, but if we go back to that summary, we've also got, then let's refresh this. We've also got this average control strength that's come up. And this is actually related to the internal controls. Again, 7 internal controls that are also related to this asset. And when we actually add our internal controls, and you'll learn this in the compliance training, we're going to add the control strength that we estimate. Basically, 0 being this control is not implemented currently, 20 to 40, all the way up to probably 50% is partially implemented. Anything over 80% generally, we, as a rule of thumb, we consider then to be fully implemented, and of course 100% fully implemented. So based upon those percentages there, what's going to happen is that's going to roll up into your summary and give you a control strength. So you know you've got an asset that is very, very high value. You've got a pretty high number of risks that are associated to this asset, and your control strength is, you know, probably somewhere middling. So you might need to add some more controls to to your portfolio to think about how you're going to better protect this asset. Okay. So let's just do another example and show you how to put this together. So I'm going to go to my asset types here, and I'll go to my applications assets. I just added my new application B. And as you can see right now, I've done an impact assessment on this. And so I've got an idea of the impact, but I haven't added any risk register yet. So my control strength and my risk is so far at 0. So now what I want to do is add my risk. So I'm going to go to risk register. I'm just going to do look up. I can add new as well. I do have that option too, but I'm just going to pull one here. And what I'll do is I'll add this governance one. And then I'm going to put that in. Now you see again, those internal controls come in automatically. And if I go back to my summary now, I might have to refresh. Gives me that asset risk control strength. Okay. And finally, if you're asking yourself, why is this 58 when previously in my other asset, that number was different? If I just go to that, you can see in my executive offices, my risk is 94. So if I added that same risk, why is it 58 here? It's because in the executive offices, I've actually got additional risks added to that asset. Whereas here, of course, I've only got my one risk. So the way we work out this average residual risk score is indeed that it is the average residual risk score from the related risk register record. So based upon all of the risks that are attached to that specific asset, that's how we're going to give you that score. We're going to take the average of all of them and give you that scoring. So that concludes our training for today.